Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast with your hosts, Jason Rambo and Sean Alley. We bring you all things sporting clays. Our focus is bringing new shooters to the sport and helping all shooters by giving you the most useful info from coaches, pro shooters, gun clubs, product and service specialists. The Dead Pair Podcast, what every shotgun shooter wants to hear.
Paul?
Dead Pair.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dead Pair Podcast. It's me, Jason Rambo, and the big man, Sean Alley. What's up, buddy?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Yeah? Been doing any shooting?
Well, tried to do a little practice last weekend, but, man, it was cold. It was about 23 degrees, nice, light 15, 20-mile-an-hour cross breeze. So needless to say, it was a short session.
It's like squadding with Frosty the Snowman.
Well, and the thing I hate the worst is, man, all the layers you got to wear. It's really hard to be natural in your shooting. And I know that a lot of coaches will say that's a good way to train for cold winter tournaments, but I'm going to be brutally honest. I don't shoot a lot of cold weather tournaments. I mean, once in a while, or a short little 50 bird or something like that. But, man, it just can't wait for the warm weather.
Well, maybe you should take advantage of that wild hair discount and get you one of them fancy shooting coats like I have.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that sounds pretty good. I might have to do that. Yours looks pretty comfortable. I will give you that.
It is. It's very comfortable. It's meant for what we're doing. So
Yeah.
We've got Mike Luongo and Turner Parcell coming on, one of his up-and-coming stars, and I'm telling you, the kid's on fire. I shot with him. Shot the prelim with him down at the Florida State shoot, and this kid can shoot, man.
Yeah, you said you recognized him because he had, a Cardinal sticker on his buggy?
Yeah, I had a Cardinal sticker on his buggy. I'm like, hey, whoa, what are you from Ohio?
Where are you from?
Yeah, but no, he's a super nice kid. His mom was with him. Really nice people. And it was a pleasure to shoot with him. And it's evident to see the success that Mike inflicts in these kids. So
Yeah.
But hey, listen, before we get to them, real quick, Sean, let's run down through and remind everyone of the discounts that some of these people have been so kind to extend to our listeners.
Oh, man, we got a big list, too. All right, so we're going to go to the Wayback Machine. For our listeners that know this, or maybe new listeners that don't know this. So we've got a list of several discounts that I think you guys are going to want to take advantage of. First up, Pro Ears. You remember we had them on a couple episodes ago. They were kind enough to offer our listeners a 25% discount by using the code DEADPAIR25. And I will admit, I just took advantage of that a week ago, and I ordered me a set of Pro Ears.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just got the molding kits in. I just did the mold thing with my wife, and get them sent back in, and I guess they make the ears out of that. So I took advantage of that, and I think I've already seen a couple emails come through where other listeners have as well. So hopefully, if you need a good set of ears, that's a good place to go. Furthermore, so Wild Hair Shooting Gear, they gave us a 10% off coupon as well. DP10, and that'll get you a 10% off your Wild Hair order. And then Atlas Traps, as a reminder, they do consumer financing, like, for instance, on their AT-150, regular price is $15.99, or you could break that up into, I think he said $100 a month to get that paid off. They also offer club leasing and financing for clubs for large purchases. And year-round, they offer 10% military or youth discounts for those shooters. But they also extended that even further and gave a 10% discount to the rest of our listeners, no matter what you are or where you are. DEADPAIR10 is the coupon code, and that's going to be good through the end of March. Last but not least, Morgan Optical also gave another 10% discount to our listeners. I'm not sure how long that was going to run. I think he said at least for a couple months, so you're probably good until, I would say, towards the end of March on that one. And, again, that code was... I think it was DP10 or DEADPAIR10. I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes, but...
I believe it was Dead Pair.
Okay, DEADPAIR10 then. Good.
It was just Dead Pair.
Oh, Dead Pair.
Right.
Gotcha. So many discounts. Can't keep track of them all.
Yes, and let's not forget about the big one that Jake Spangler dropped on us.
Huge.
This is for a corporate membership. Now, this includes 3,000 targets. You get a golf cart with every visit. This is a retail value of $1,250.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's huge. And I understand, to the guy that lives in, Nebraska, this might not be all that great of a deal, but if you're in any of the surrounding states, or if you don't mind traveling a little bit to get to a club, and the variety of the targets they have there, and the amount of courses, skeet, trap, sporting clays. So, I mean, this is huge. The rules are simple. You got to like us and follow us on Facebook. Okay, then you have to post a photo of you and your group out shooting. The winner will be chosen at random by Bill Elliott on April 1st.
And a key here, the photos need to show you guys having a good time shooting out on the course. I mean, that's what we want to see is our listeners out there doing what they do and having fun.
So we'll call Bill up. We'll catch up with him on April 1st, and he's going to randomly choose a winner, or maybe a photo that he gets the biggest laugh out of or biggest kick out of, but completely chosen at random. And that brings up something else with Bill. So we're going to, and I announced this before, we're going to start the questions for the coaches. So you can write into us. Doesn't matter what the question is, whether it's about gear or coaching, or maybe it's how to approach a certain target, or if it's practice or training. If it is sporting clays related and you have a question, write into us. Just go to our website, thedeadpair.com, hit the contact button, send us an email. And what Sean and I are going to do is we're going to randomly choose 2 questions every week, and then we're going to alternate. Those questions are going to be answered by either Gavin Miles, Mike Luongo, or Bill Elliott. And, I mean, this is not our opinions. This is opinions from pros that are in the business, in the trenches every day.
Yep.
They're going to give you the absolute best advice. So, take advantage of this, guys. I mean, this is, if you got a burning question and, maybe something that you can't get answered or figured out, this is your chance to get those questions answered, by a professional coach.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So, well, hey, Sean, I think Mike is ready for us to call, so let's catch up with him.
Sounds good. All right. We've just picked up the phone here. We've got Mike Luongo and Turner Parcell on the line. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are y'all?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Where you guys calling us from?
We are from Richburg, South Carolina right now, calling from Rocky Creek Sporting Clays.
Very nice. Very nice.
Tell me it's not 27 degrees and snow on the ground like it is here.
Nah, that's why we don't mess around with like Ohio. That's the wrong state for us.
Yeah, you're smarter than we are, apparently.
Well, I know Turner's been up here because I saw a Cardinal Center sticker on his buggy when we were shooting prelim together down at the Florida State. So I know he's been up here.
Yes, you guys. Sir, I have. Yeah, I've been to Cardinal a couple years now.
Yeah, you came up when it was nice here in Ohio, which is about August.
Yeah, sir.
So
yeah, that's the time I'll visit you
guys. First of all, Turner, congratulations on making sub-junior All-American captain. That's a really big accomplishment. I mean, what did it mean to you to finish the year out like that?
It really meant a lot to me. At the start of the year, that was one of my main goals that I really worked on and wanted to focus on for the year. And, yeah, so we were focused on it the whole entire year, put a lot of preparation and hard work into it, and put a lot of time into it. So it meant a lot to me. That's
awesome. I noticed on your Facebook post, you said you went from the old Beretta 686 to the new 694. So was the 686 due for the safe, or was you just really wanting to upgrade, or what prompted the change?
I shot the 686 for a couple of years, about 3 years, and it was a really good gun for me. Shot really good with it, won a lot of stuff with it, but it started to have a little bit of wear on it. The receiver started to break a little bit. The firing pin was starting to snap a little bit. I had to go to a little bit of a change to the 694, and me and my parents, Mike and me, we all kind of searched around for a gun that would fit my shooting style and that I could switch to really quick and easily, and we found the 694. So,
well, Turner, Jason won't admit this. I'm a Beretta guy. I shoot a DT11. So you're talking to a fellow brethren here of the gun. But Jason won't admit this. He's a Kohler guy. He's got a Kohler, but he's shouldered a 694 at the state shoot last year at Cardinal, and he was very tempted by it. So it's a nice gun, and congratulations on that purchase.
Your microphone's breaking up, Sean. I can't.
Stop it now. Just quit it. Just quit it. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Mike has definitely produced a long list of successful shooters like yourself. I mean, do you feel like you had some big shoes to fill, or were you more focused on being the guy to beat?
Well, yeah, Mike has, worked with a lot of really good shooters. Ryan Harper, for example, and Rihanna Franz. They've had a lot of success in youth shooting and NSCA tournaments. Like, Rihanna just won the ladies FITAS national championship. She won the K Cup for ladies too. And Ryan Harper placed at the Southeast Regionals pretty high also. So, but I every course and every tournament I go out to, I want to go and shoot the best of my ability, and let the cards fall where they fall. And yeah.
Well, good.
Turner, we all kind of want to put 2020 behind us for a multitude of reasons outside of shooting. But that being said, with all the craziness of the on again, off again season that we had last year, was it difficult for you to stay focused, throughout the year on your shooting? I know you were successful at SCTP, but did you find it hard for you, between school and shooting and everything else to stay focused?
That's kind of a funny topic. So a lot of people kind of had to stop shooting a little bit with all the COVID stuff, and courses and clubs started to close a little bit, and shells were starting to run out. And I was pretty fortunate that the clubs around me stayed open, and we had a good supply of shells to shoot. So my shooting actually increased a little bit. I shot a little bit more than I had been shooting, and it really helped me. I got to keep my shooting ability, pretty solid throughout the whole entire COVID season. So where all the big regionals and big shoots started to come back up, I felt pretty good about it, and I finished the season pretty good, and so I was pretty fortunate in that sense. But
yeah, I guess if you could pull a positive out of a negative, that would definitely be it, huh?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you and Mike have worked together on setting some goals for 2021. Would you mind sharing those with us? What's next for Turner? What's on your agenda for the year this year?
Yes, sir. So, last year was my last year in sub junior. So this year I'll be starting new in junior, and the competition. There's a lot of really stiff competition. You have shooters like Joe Finizzi and Todd Hitch, and I just want to go to every tournament, shoot the best of my ability, and kind of see where I'm at. This will be my first year in junior, so I'll just kind of see where I'm at in the first couple of tournaments and make goals from there. But right now I want to go to this year and win the resident for South Carolina State. That would be probably one of the bigger goals on my list I want to accomplish for this year.
Gotcha.
Well, Turner, I got a question for you. So let's start with a couple things. First of all, so in the off season, do you do anything special at this time of year before the big season starts, as far as training or practice or anything like that before you get back into the tournament schedule?
Yeah, right now my shooting's kind of gone. I'm still shooting a lot, but not as much right now. I'm kind of focusing on school a little bit more. And school's always one of the big priorities of my life. I gotta keep my grades up if I want to get somewhere in life. So
absolutely.
Yes, sir. So I always want to do good in school, but I would say right now what I'm really focusing on is just kind of staying in the moment when I shoot. Sometimes you just kind of get caught up when you're shooting a big score, or even when you're shooting a bad score, So that's probably one of my big things I'm working on right now.
Okay, well, and that response kind of leads me into my next question, which is, and we ask this of everybody, what's one of your favorite memories or situations that you've been in the shooting sports? What can you look back on? It doesn't have to be
Not necessarily a win.
Not a win or anything, but just an experience, maybe a tournament, maybe a group of shooters that you were with. If you can just kind of maybe share with our listeners one of your favorite experiences.
So, I would say probably my favorite shooting experience this year has been at the Northeast Regional in Hopkins. One of my main goals this year also was to win one or more regionals for sub-junior, and at Hopkins for Northeast Regional, that's where I won my first one. So that was probably one of my bigger, more memorable experiences because, my mom was with me there. My dad was with me there. Mike was actually at that tournament too. And so I had a lot of people around me that all my friends were there, and it really meant a lot that I could get my first sub-junior regional win there.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's cool. That's really cool. Well, Mike, we want to switch gears to you just for a second, if you don't mind, sir.
Yes, sir.
So everybody knows that Mike Luongo is one of the premier youth shooting coaches in the United States. Do you ever get time to go out and compete anymore, or are you just so wrapped up in coaching that you don't have time to get out anymore?
No, I do. I mean, my first love is competing. I'm very competitive. I competed a lot in, high school, AAU baseball, football. I mean, I went all over. One year I played 165 baseball games. My dad probably put 50,000 miles on a vehicle traveling, so
Wow.
competitive. My dad was an excellent coach. And then I started, when I was a kid, my dad goes, one day, he goes, I think you got the niche to be a coach. And I always responded, to kids real well. And I do just as good with the adults. I feel like, Quail Creek, when I was there, that helped me get started more with the youth because they had such a strong SCTP program with a big talent pool. And then, we just took it to the next level. And that's where I kind of got my niche of youth shooting, the exposure more there. But even with like my personal friends, I would help them out. I've got a friend of mine coming down in a couple weeks that was a high school friend. He's having a little bit of trouble with his shooting. I'm going to, help him out a little bit. He can be an incredible shot. So I just felt like I've always had a connection to help kids because I relate to them. The joke is they don't look at me like a coach or a drill sergeant. They look at me as one of their buddies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can get more out of them because they feel a little nervous if they've got, somebody that's 65 years old breathing down their back, you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
I'm real easy to get along with, but I just love, teaching. Probably now I'm not going to lose that competitive edge. I didn't shoot much last year, but when I did, I had a great year. I think my average was like 93.8 or something,
Wow.
over like 5,000 targets. Yeah. And I mean, 4 of them were major shoots, so
That's
I try
good
to still
shooting.
keep my game up. Yeah.
That's one of the things, like my coach, Bill Elliott, when you have someone you can relate to, and like, Bill will call me, we won't even talk about shooting. It's more or less your friend than just a coach. And when you can have that kind of relationship where you can relate to that person somehow, it seems like trying to instill something in them to coach them becomes 10 times easier for both the student and the coach. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You have that connection, I'll sit there and talk to Turner sometimes, and like I said, we're not even talking about shooting. We're joking and cutting up. Rihanna, she'll call me all the time. Nick and Ashley Blinker, longtime friends of mine. They used to be, they're in college now doing, some bigger things, but they used to be, a force, brother and sister force in shooting. You guys interviewed Ryan Harper. Ryan's one of my best buddies, after we just met by shooting. There's a group of guys in Florida that we used to shoot little 5-stand with, and then Ryan was out there, and they're like, hey, man, this kid can shoot. And I'm like, okay. And then Ryan's going to come up in a few weeks just to hang out. He wants to see my daughter and wife. He doesn't even really want to see me, because he's like a family friend now,
Yep.
So he's like, yeah, I'll come up and see you, but I really want to see Sarah and Lincoln, so that, joking with me. But, yeah, so you meet, you develop that friendship too, and then, you're rooting for your buddy. I mean, I've got a friend of mine, people don't know a lot about. If he shot a lot, you would know him. His name's Corey Rugg, wicked competitor, wicked talent. He just owns Gulf Coast Clays in Naples, Florida. That guy right there could shoot, lights out, but he's so busy he doesn't get to go as much, because smaller club and he doesn't have a lot of employees, so he's doing all the work.
That's funny.
That guy right there.
I've actually shot at that club at Gulf Coast Clays a couple times.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, he's done a lot of good things with it. And, right there, we don't even know the talent pool out there sometimes. Corey, you could take him at he would come to the Florida State. When's the last time he shot, Rugg? He'd be like, 6 months ago. And, we go out and shoot the prelim. He'd tie me for high overall with 95. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you don't practice.
Nice. Well, I tell you what, you're a guy that's got an awful lot of irons in the fire. What's your typical day? Can you kind of walk us through what a day is like for Mike Luongo and what happens?
Yeah, I've got a wild schedule.
I bet.
I'm up every day early. First thing, I'm checking emails. 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm not as crazy as Anthony Matarese, my good friend. He's like 4 o'clock guy. I'm a 5 o'clock guy. He's built a little different than most. But yeah, I just kind of modeled my shooting career. Anthony's been a mentor to me. After Anthony, I saw that guy go at it, and I'm like, man, that's the guy I want to be. So to put it this way, I've never called out sick a day of work since I was 16 years old. I've been sick. Man. I've been sent home. Yeah, that's just my work ethic, and I start out, I'll answer an email. Right now, every day, I'm probably spending 2 hours a day trying to find shotgun shells, which is a whole other subject.
Oh, you can spend – that's a full-time job in itself right now.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen anything like it,
It's crazy.
And, so I'll do that. Basically, the club, so today, today I had 3 shooting lessons, and we changed the whole course of targets. So we changed, 14 shooting stations, and I had 3 lessons. And on top of that, we had the South Carolina State shoot this year for 2021. And before Turner got here, we were looking over shirts to have our shirts ordered. I do a little bit of everything. I'm never stopping. Gun sales. I just go, help other people. I'm big. If somebody calls me in this game, and whether it's a young kid or a guy that just opened up a range and he needs some help, I'll be the first guy to, if you call me and you want the help, I'll help you, My only rule is, don't have an ego. I never had an ego growing up. I wanted to learn from people that knew more than me. I'm still learning, to this day. Last week, I spent 2 days at M&M with Anthony, and it was just, we were just training. We were going over shooting instruction the whole time, and I feel like I can always get better. If you think you've got it all, you're not there. You got to learn, and I try to learn something every week, every day, every year. And just I threw the ego in the trash can a long time ago. I think you can learn a lot of things from a lot of people, and then you kind of mold your own game. Your own way of doing business.
That's well said, Mike. I don't think you could ever really stop learning in this game. You brought up Anthony there, and we've that's been a common theme amongst just about every single person we've interviewed is Anthony. I think Anthony would probably agree with me wholeheartedly that you can never master this game. You have to be nonstop if you're going to be at the top. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. My thing was, you talked about earlier the competitive side. Like I said, last year, Northeast Regional, I ended up in a shoot-off for runner-up with Braxton Oliver, and East Coast Championship, I think it was, I can't remember exactly how many, but I was runner-up. South Carolina State won a shoot-off against Cameron Hicks and Wesley Elliott, which is a fan favorite local. Wesley is another, like I said, a lot of people might not know him. That guy, internal, will agree with me. That guy's incredible, right? If he ever shot, the circuit, he just has a busy job and not a lot of time, but he would be a top competitor. But my thing is, I don't say, okay, yeah, you shot this. I want to learn, why did I lose by 2 birds? Okay, what went wrong? And I always find something new. When I was working with Anthony the other week, we're shooting a 30-yard crosser, and I'm hitting it. and I'm hitting it, and then I'm chipping it, and, you know, Anthony goes, listen, he goes, right at the end, you're kind of, you know, I don't remember the exact term he told me, but kind of moving the gun too fast, gassing the gun, and the bird was fast, and he goes, I want you to feel like you're almost stopping the gun, but not stopping the gun, just kind of, you know, just not even moving at the end, and I just rolled 10 in a row, and I'm like, whew, I would have never known that practicing with, you know, I would have never found that out. And then I went home, and, you know, after driving 8 hours, 10 hours, and I went the very next day, woke up, and I went and shot 150 of them just to freshen my mind, you know, before I started my day. So, yeah, if you're not learning and with today's times and the game, and I will make this clear to people, it is hard to win nowadays, right? It is unbelievable, the talent now, you know, from when I started to now, you know what I mean?
And it's only getting harder.
Yeah.
It's only getting harder. I mean, the shooters are unbelievable. You know, one that comes in the, you know, couple of these guys, you know, I got lucky to kind of grow up with them in the game and stuff, like Zach Kienbaum right now. He's on fire, man. You know, he understands the game so well. You know, I call him a student of the game. He just knows how to compete, and he just kind of, man, you want to be like the ice in his veins. He just goes, but it comes down to his knowledge. You know, I asked Anthony, I go, how do I beat Zach and Derek? You know, he giggled. He goes, you can shoot with the best of the best. He goes, but, you know, look at the experience they have on you.
Right.
You know, talent levels there. He goes, and that's I think like Zach and Derek, you know, just two that come to mind. Corey Cruz, I can name a ton of people, right? But those guys just understand the game so well. You go out there, you know, when you're on the field against them, you better be ready because they know the game, you know.
Yeah, you better have your ducks in a row for sure.
Absolutely, you know.
So I want to kind of get a grand picture here, Mike. You know, we've seen a big uptick in youth shooting, but we're also seeing a lot more women competing now. And I don't mean the girls like you brought up Franz that, you know, was one of your students. I'm talking about the ladies that are joining later in life into the sport. Do you have a lot of lady shooters that you coach?
You know, I used to have a lot more in Florida, not so many here. I knew, like, this is funny. You're going to love this for a podcast. Turner's girlfriend, her name is, I call her Lulu. Her name is Ann Weathers Blankenship, but we call her Lulu. That's actually Turner's girlfriend. She is wicked good shooter. I mean, awesome. Learning the game, you know, younger. She's picking up at the right time, and she's working really hard to try to get better. I had a pool of lady shooters in Florida. I mean, we had some awesome – I would not want to be like, you know, you go to the state of Florida – at a local shoot, you know, you got Ashley Little. I mean, Ashley's phenomenal, been in the game a long time. Rihanna, Ashley Blanker, and then, you know, we used to call her the giant killer, Kirsten Sales, when she shot a lot. I mean, I can't tell you, she's never lost at the SCTP Nationals in her division.
Wow.
And then, like, any one of those girls could win. Like, I'll never forget, they had a state shoot at South Florida Gun Club for the SCTP Florida State shoot, and there was a three-way tie, and it was two of the three shooters it was Kirsten Sales, and I think at the time she's maybe 13, and Rihanna, and then her brother, Rafe Sales, all shot 98. So two of the three, not shooting for the ladies, high overall were lady shooters. That's incredible, right?
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, here, not as many. I get some, you know, ladies that come out that just want to try to get better, you know, but a lot here, North and South Carolina now, you know, funny stat for you was, I didn't know this till Nicholas Berry told me this, at the Northeast Regional, the top four scorers, 2 people from North Carolina, 2 people from South Carolina, and then New Jersey Anthony's. That's pretty incredible, just in our little area, how good the talent's getting around here, you know.
Well, specifically for the ladies, I mean, have you seen, like, what are some of the struggles and fears that they have getting started? And is there something that we can do to help subside that?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. I've asked several lady shooters that, you know, what do you think? And I think, for example, I was just having a conversation, a friend of mine in Georgia, lady shooter, Jean Bostic, I remember the first lesson I gave her, they own Cherokee Rose, her and Dave Dalton, and she was talking to her the other day, and, you know, the first lesson I ever gave her, you know, she could not even hold the gun up. We shot 22 shells, okay?
Mm-hmm.
She's thin, you know what I mean? And I said, Jean, you know, we're going to have to build strength. You have to work out. So fast forward time, and this is only a couple of years, and she probably took about a year off of shooting. She bumped all the way up to A class, almost in double A, from a lady that couldn't even hold the gun up. And in the 2019 World English, as a lady shooter, she had like the second or third highest score on the red course, which is incredible, right?
Wow.
You know, that quick. And you take somebody like that, I think strength. So my example would be, if you look at, you know, Karen Shedd. Jean asked me about Karen Shedd. She said, that girl looks so fit.
Yes.
And I said, yeah. And you know what? I said, by her probably working out, and I don't know her that well, but Jean was telling me this, that's probably going to give her an edge. That gun, you know, I tell people, okay, say you're shooting a 9-pound gun. It doesn't seem, 9 pounds is nothing, right? With 2 hands, we all could lift 9 pounds. But mount that thing 500 times, and you're going to be shaking.
Right.
You know, I tell people all the time, hey, take your shotgun and mount it from a low mount to a pre-mounted gun. Do it 100 times in a row. Almost 99% of the people can't finish. You know, their arms are shaking and dead. So I think maybe strength with the ladies, you know, and I think, but I don't know. And I think just experience. Think about how many more female shooters shoot in today's times than just say 10 years ago and then 20 years ago. So we're getting more and more and more. And, you know, I think they're going to catch on. Zach Keenbaum has some opinions on that. They're very good. It's just, like I said, one of those things we don't know. I think the struggle is, too, male-dominated sport. You got to feel that, and I really think the youth shooting helps. You know, they get that exposure at a young age, and they're kind of confident. They're around these guys. Like, we love watching the women break targets more than the men. It's pretty cool, you know?
You know, and it's funny, Mike, because I think we're real close. I think we're real close to seeing Karen, Rihanna, Desi. I think we're real close to seeing an HOA by one of these girls. I really do.
Oh, yeah, I remember, I don't know how many years back, but there was I can't remember, and don't quote me on this, but I want to say it was a Diamond Classic or something, or at Greater Houston Gun Club. Desi won the high overall prelim, and I remember when Desi was making a lot of guys nervous there for a while. You know what I mean? So it's there. It's going to happen. I mean, it's like everything I said, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I just named out a few, and ladies, if you're listening, there's several of you that could be at the top. And I'm not discrediting. I'm just throwing an example.
No, absolutely.
But there are, I mean, you go down through the list. I mean, Shelby Moon. I mean, we could sit here for a half an hour and name off all these lady shooters that are so close to the top. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I know there's a lot of hardcore guy competitors out there that don't want to hear that, but I really think we're that close to seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. You know, like anything else. Who would have thought, you know, if you take, for example, you know, I watched Ryan Harper at a young age. I'm watching Turner at a young age. Joe Pinchin, that little kid, when I first met him, he was incredible. Now he's taller than me, by the way. You know, when you watch him grow up. But I watched so many, you know, Joe Finizzi, you know, they're phenoms compared. When I was that age, I couldn't shoot like that. You know, Corey and Anthony were excellent at that age, right? Anthony's brother, you know, I saw Anthony's brother was probably the most phenomenal shooter at that age. But, you know, we're talking about one or two. Now, like you said, there's 30 youth shooters out there that could any given day you win a tournament, you know, a major tournament. And it's scary. It makes it tough on guys like us. You know, I said, I got an almost 2-year-old baby, and I got to go compete against that. You know? And I'll be honest with you, that we've had that conversation. I will tell you by the, you know, Turners and Todd Hitches and Joe Finizzi's and all those guys, they have made me up my game. Intentional, not intentional, just by, you know what? It's like I know when I go out there, okay, I got to work that much harder. My time's limited, so if I'm going to practice, I'm going to practice with a purpose, and I'm going to practice harder than I normally practice because I naturally have to up my game because that's how good they are. The targets they're exposed to now, they're just phenomenal. And it's a process. Here's the funny part. And I use this Turner as an example because he's sitting right here. That's all Turner, man. Trust the process. You don't even know how good you are yet. That's the scary part. When you do figure out and you let yourself be that good, then, there's a time where Mike goes, yeah, I got to be, Bill Belichick. I can't be. I'm not going to be Tom Brady or, what I mean? 'Cause, that guy refuses to lose. But, it's going to be a fact. They're going to pass us all eventually. That's just nature of the beast. It happens in any professional sport.
Natural progression.
Absolutely.
Well, Mike, okay.
I'm just happy to see it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are too. I mean, it's really interesting. Me and Jason shot years and years and years ago. We probably got into it 20 years ago when they still had manual trappers and stuff. And it's just amazing to see how the game has progressed in the last 20 years. It's night and day different than when it was back then. But I was going to ask you, so as far as Mike Luongo goes, what are your goals for this year? Do you have any special aspirations or things you want to try to achieve this year in 2021?
Yeah, so again, I'm not that guy. People say, I've heard it, Bill McGuire goes, you're probably the best working guy has a full-time job and can go out there and compete, and I've looked at that, and I've kind of for, several years just been very happy to be able to compete at the level I can compete. But, for me, like I said, I'm competitive. It's never good enough. So my goal every time is to win, and I'm working hard. And like I said, I drove in 48 hours. I shot 16 with Anthony and drove back, didn't sleep much just because I want to win. Every time I go out there, the ultimate goal is, to win a national championship, U.S. Open in the main event. I've done it in a lot of side events and stuff at majors, but I want to do it in the main. And I'm just going to keep that goal, and just say no excuse, Don't say, Mike, oh, yeah, you worked 80 hours this week. Well, you can sleep when you're dead. You still got 2 hours to go put in work, go put in the work. So I've made my major goal this year is to, like I said, no matter how busy I get, make time, whether it's when the sun just first comes up or I only have a half-hour daylight left, go put in that little extra work as far as the shooting side. I'm going to balance it a little better. But, yeah, my goal every time is to win. When I go out there, I just love to compete. And this is a thing I can give to other people too. Be a gracious winner and a gracious loser. You're not going to win every time. Like I said, we talked about the talent, and I'll be the first guy. Chris Ferris is a member here, good guy, and he beat me by 2 at the Northeast Regional. I was the first guy to shake his hand, first guy to put my arm around his back and congratulate him. Right. That's just the type of person I am. I want to see the game grow. The game's bigger than me. I want to see it. I want the people after me, when they don't even know who Mike is anymore, to go. That's when the Turners and the Joes and all those guys can take over, the Ryan Harpers, and I just want to be a part of it. Small part, that's all.
Right.
Leave my mark.
Well, that leads into my next question, Mike. You look back 10, 15, even beyond that, 20-plus years ago when Sean and I started, the games came a real long way. Real far away here in the United States. Do you think, in your personal opinion, and nobody's going to hold your feet to the fire on this, do you think we're headed in the right direction, or do you think we need to steer it a little bit different direction than what we're headed right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Basically, I do think we're in the right direction, but I think like everything else, there's always room for improvement. I think the youth shooting is better than ever, right? It's
oh, yeah.
Just a small example. South Carolina, my boss, owner, Rocky Creek, and friend David Chestnut, Superman, he literally had a goal years ago to get 100 kids to shoot in the state of South Carolina. Okay, and we're talking not that many years ago. What is it, Turner? When did that start? Not long ago. We're talking short term. He had a goal to get 100. Okay, now just in the state of South Carolina, they have their own circuit, like the championship tour. Yeah. They have their 4 or 5 qualifying shoots, and then they have their state championship. And me and Rick Hemingway had this discussion the other day. Man, we just want to get 20% of the NSCA to see this. Nobody, and I promise you, I know you've seen the SCTP Nationals and all that, but nobody has ever seen an event like this So just the other week I went to it in Edgefield, South Carolina, 887 kids,
Wow.
and the last shot was fired at 4:30. Boom,
Wow.
done. Unbelievable. The organization, I mean, they treat it as a business, and it's to one thing to be safe and expose the youth to shooting. And
That's
something
awesome.
They can carry, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. It is the coolest thing. And me and Rick are sitting there. He's on his buggy, and I'm on mine, and we're just shaking our heads like, this is unbelievable watching it, But, the world doesn't even know that thing. No, they know in South Carolina, right? It's huge. But, if we could get, people like more involved in stuff like that, I think that's going to grow everything. I know personally from a club standpoint that we throw more targets just by having these programs because kids come out here to practice because they got to get ready for their matches,
Right.
I think that grows the game. I'm going to tell you out of those 800 some odd, I mean, they're almost to 1,000 kids now, just in the state of South Carolina.
Wow.
I'm going to say, Turner, maybe 30 of them shoot the NSCA?
Maybe, yeah.
Right? What if we could get 100 of them to join,
Yeah.
That's something, I call an improvement. Okay, we need to get how can we get the NSCA more involved? I gave speeches at the coaches tournaments and stuff, telling them about registered targets and promoting it because I'm just going to promote the game. I don't care if it's a charity shoot,
Right.
NSCA shoot, a youth shoot, right? I don't want people pulling the trigger because I tell them it's the greatest game going because how many sports can you, or how many disciplines can you start at 6 years old or as long as you're big enough to hold that gun up and still see the guy out there at 90 shooting? That's pretty awesome and
Right.
do it.
That's very true. Very true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to be, a promoter of the game. So I think that is, but as far as the right direction, I think is pretty neat. Your top level, what I would call pro shooters, there's different levels. There's like a Derek. He's a shooter, man. He, in my opinion, one of the best to ever play the game. And then Zach.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
He shoots a Kohler.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Our joke, we said Derek can shoot a broomstick.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
That man
Hey,
can.
you know what, Rags and all those guys from Elite Shotguns, I'm tell you what, and that's another thing, all super guys. Like I said, you'll never hear me say anything bad about anybody's product. I think that's part of the game, right? Everybody, I love that we have different products so people can shoot different
Absolutely.
guns.
And don't get me wrong. I shoot a Kohler. I'm a little biased, okay? But there's nothing wrong with Sean's DT11. It's a beautiful gun. It'll last him forever. And you could probably say the same thing about somebody's Krieghoff or somebody's Blaser. I mean,
Right.
I'm just,
It's the same
I like
thing.
to crack up.
It's the same thing as like car guys. Is a Chevy better than a Ford, better than a Dodge? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We all got to be able to pick on each other.
Absolutely.
But, Mike, you kind of answered my question twofold there about the direction of the sport because if we're growing exponentially at a youth level like that, that is the future of the sport, right? So the only disconnect I see, and I just wish, and I've asked everybody this question, and everybody has really good answers, but no real good solution. That disconnect between SCTP and NSCA. It's like, it's like there's a wall there. How do we tear this wall down?
Yeah, I mean, right, that's what I call that $1 million question. I mean, I don't know, it's funny. So I'll give you an example, and I've asked several just from our side, which, our SCYSF is kind of the same program as SCTP, right? It's just in the state of South Carolina. I'll go up to these kids, and, a couple of these kids go, I want to be Turner Parcell. Because he's like the dominant force that came out of the SCYSF. I mean, last year he never lost a shoot, right, in his division. I mean, and I said, well, guys, I said, Turner's out practicing, and he's going to NSCA shoots. I said, so when he goes and sees these bigger targets, different terrains, and he's traveling, when he comes to a youth shoot, it's like, well, what are you really going to throw by him that he hasn't seen, So just his target library is so big compared to the other, the next kid. Then I'll have another kid asking me, Mike, I really just like to, Rick Hemingway's son, for example, we call him Mud. He just likes to go out there with his friends. He can go out there and shoot at 99, and they're like, where did that come from? But he really doesn't have any desire to travel the country and shoot NSCA, But there's an incredible shooter But he just likes to go to those shoots and see his friends. And then there's the other kids, and I'm like, why do you guys shoot? I'm always asking. I want that data,
Yeah.
And why do you shoot? And a girl comes and she goes, well, because it's an activity in my school, and I want another activity for my college resume. Okay, that's good too. Hey, at least you're shooting. But so like that girl there, you're probably not going to get her back to shoot NSCA. And I know on the SCTP side of stuff, and I know on the South Carolina Youth Shooting Foundation, myself and David have talked about it, right? We're to the lowest thing in our whole program, right? We've got 99 positive things that is phenomenal. And the one thing we're working on is like getting these shooters to stay with it after high school, right?
Yeah.
Even after college, when they go, even I've seen kids go to college and shoot for a college team, but then, they meet their love of their life in college, and they have little Johnny, and little Johnny costs more than the shotgun shells, So it's tough. It's tough, and I've been there, and I don't know. We're still working on that. So that's the toughest question. I think it's do what we're doing. Ask these kids. They'll give you the answers. Find out. Kind of what makes them tick. There's Turner who competition makes Turner tick. He wants to compete, and that's our other top juniors and sub-juniors and ladies in the country. They want to compete, but then there's for example, my buddy Corey, he wants to compete, but he can only go 2 times a year, and when he does awesome, but then you're only going to get him 2 times a year, you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, and
it's tough.
It's different for everybody. I mean, we've all got different schedules. I couldn't, me and Jason shot 20-some years ago, and then I got married, had a kid, and family and all that stuff, and I wasn't able to, time-wise, financially-wise, be able to shoot. And then just recently, and now I'm an empty nester, so I've got the time to do it and the financial backing to do it because it's not a cheap sport, let's be honest. But,
I mean, what do you think? What do you think, Turner? Like, you talk to your peers out there. What do you think some of the kids shoot, and then they don't want to shoot anything but you shooting? How do we get them converted? I think that's a good question for Turner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
He's with them.
So I know I see this a little bit in youth shooting with some of my friends. They shoot the youth tournaments, and they can go on a weekend and shoot a 94 and then go to one of these bigger NSCA register tournaments, and they'll shoot, low 70s, mid-70s. And I think a big part about what's kind of driving the youth away from the registered a little bit is the intimidation factor of everybody says, hey, the targets are so much harder, this and that. Maybe a little bit of an intimidation factor of all the adults that are there as compared to some of these youth tournaments where every single one of us is, high school and below. And
I can see that.
Big register tournaments are, majority of adults.
Right.
So
but then again, you can probably take it and twist it the other way and look and just talk yourself into it and say, look, I can go out there 17, 18 years old and kick a guy's butt that was, 40, 50, 60 years old that's been shooting for 20, 30 years.
Well, Turner did it to me in a prelim. That's a perfect example.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
That's all you got to do.
yeah.
That's all you got to do, Turner, is tell that story to everybody and say, look, you can go out there and make these old guys feel really old.
Yeah.
And
well, here's an example. There's one kid in USHU named Jackson Louder, one of my good friends. I mean, he's an incredible shot, and he shoots a decent amount of the SUISF circuit. And a couple of years ago, I mean, he went out there and won South Carolina State. Okay,
Yeah.
and so he can go from one weekend shooting and winning SUISF, the next weekend go up and beat up on all the adults and win South Carolina State. So I don't know what would be the true answer to solve the youth situation. I'm trying to get them to shoot more registered targets, but I think that intimidation factor of the adults is definitely a little bit.
well, if you guys would just get together, I mean, the thing of it is, me and Jason, we have our group of friends, and we try to squad up with each other on tournaments, and that's part of the magic is you're out there with your buddies, having a good time, competing, doing what you love to do. So maybe you guys just need to try to get your own little youth squads together to where you're all about the same age, you all know each other, and that way you're not intimidated. Although I will say that it's very, very beneficial to be able to shoot with all walks of life, because I know me and Jason have learned a lot from, when we got started shooting with guys that were master class or AA, and, they were able to maybe make a few pointers and that kind of thing. So there's always a benefit there. But yeah, maybe it just would make more comfortable if you guys get a small group of you together and start going through the NSCA tournaments, and that way you'd feel more comfortable.
Yeah, Sean, I think that's a good point. It's a funny topic right there. A really wild topic, because I had my cousin Nick, and I had another friend of mine named Adam, and then another Brian Palmer. We were all best buddies, right? We worked at a gun club together on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Well, we'd go out there. All right, it's going to be Mike and Brian versus Nick and Adam, and we're competing our own game, right, in practice.
Yep.
Probably the best practice I ever got in my life, right? So we all were friends, best friends, and then we all wanted to kill each other in the competition, right?
Yes. Oh, it's no different when you're 40 or 50 years old either. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Right. So what's wild, you take us four, and that's an example, and that's what I don't see as much now. So my example there would be, so you took, us four, just young guys, super friends. I think at one time, none of us had our license, right? So, and we would say after work, we had a cool club, Pintail Point, in Eastern Shore, Maryland, and we would just stay after work and make our own game. Okay, we're all going to shoot 100. Winner has to buy dinner. It would only be McDonald's, right? Whatever. But just that little $5 would make us compete. I think the longest it took was, and I don't even remember who. It might even have been me. I think we were all in master class within a year and 2-3 months, that quick.
Oh, you can't.
Because of the own competition we created ourselves. And I don't see that passion as much anymore just by me looking at all these youth shoots. They're thinking, I think people need to not look as a threat. Make that person your friend and have a shooting partner. I see a lot more. It's worse and worse of, oh man, that's my competitor. Well, yeah, it is, but I shoot with Anthony. I promise you, I'm going to shoot 5 targets better. Right? 'Cause I'm going to feed off of them, and
right.
I'm going to be like, let's go. This is what I live for. So if I shoot with 2 of my buddies that just started shooting, I'm probably going to shoot 5 targets less. I shouldn't, but it's just nature of the beast because the competition isn't there. But I see now it's like, oh, everybody sees a competitor. They need to be making friends and sharing info with each other. Hey man, you might start on the back edge of that target, but it's kind of beating you. Maybe if you would start on the front edge, little things like that we didn't even know we were doing. Me and my buddies when we were coming up, we just helped each other out. Man, you shot behind it. Well, why? Don't tell me where I missed. Why did I miss? He's like, well, look where your gun was. Stuff like that. So we were coaching each other before we knew what a coach was. We never had a sporting clay lesson. We just shot trial and error.
Right.
And then next thing you know, one little gun club, it's a pretty neat stat. One little gun club in Eastern Shore, Maryland produced, several All-Americans. Adam was All-American, several times. Myself, Nick, we were all, Brian Palmer, great shot, just, doesn't shoot a lot. But, yeah, we produced just by being friends and having the fellowship to help each other out. And we go hang out that night and play ping pong. Well, but, we were doing something, helping each other.
We might be able to help this a little bit. First of all, you come up to the SCTP this year, Mike? The Nationals?
I don't know. It all depends on my schedule. I didn't make it. Okay. I used to go every year. Last year was the first one I missed, but I don't know. I have to double check.
Well, the reason why I say we might be able to help a little bit, so we had Jake and Luke Spangler and Nick Sage in the studio with us last week, and we talked about the Dead Pair doing some live podcasting from the SCTP Nationals. And I think that would be a great way to not only encourage but also introduce some of these youth shooters to the NSCA. I don't know how we can help with that transition, but if there's something we can do, obviously we want to expose the youth in their shooting. I think it's awesome. I think it'll be great exposure for them to be on a podcast. But maybe there's something we can do there to get them to give NSCA a crack. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe, it's just kind of brainstorm and, go from there. But, yeah, I think, like you said, I would call that an untapped market. I think that's, I think just the exposure it would give the kids. I watch some of these kids now, and I look at them because of shooting, whether it's U shooting, NSCA, any kind of competitive shooting, and I could take that kid and I could put him in front of, a super successful businessman, and that kid would be able to talk to him and hold, purely professional, what they've gained from the shooting sports, and feel comfortable. It's pretty neat, to watch that, the maturity level of a kid that maybe shoots or, I mean, it probably changed my life, when I was younger. I was wild, big in the sport, and aggressive. Like I said, if you got the ball, I'm going after your head, so, and, and shooting was just the opposite, right? It was a game of poise, and it taught me how to really, and be poised, and I learned a lot from shooting that if I wouldn't have, my mom says it all the time. She goes, that's the best thing you ever did was, I'm glad you found shotgun shooting.
Yeah, you have to approach it totally different than like your typical sport because, I played football, wrestled, and baseball. If you try to work yourself up and get all psyched out about shooting sporting clays, it's only gonna hurt you. Right. Let's be honest.
I tell everybody, toughest game,
Yep.
Think about sporting clays. If you could fumble the ball twice, right, just in the game the other day, and then you could, there's 3 seconds left, and you can catch the winning touchdown pass, and nobody cared that you fumbled twice. They remember you winning the game for them, right? Shooting, and that's why I try to explain to my students. I'm like, well, this is a game of poise. Like, you drop a bird, you drop a bird, you drop a bird. You're not getting them back. So let's move on, right? You got to get what you can get. It's a totally different mindset than any other sport. Golf, hockey, you name it. All those games you can rebound and you can come back. You could be down 10 runs, right, and come back. Shooting, you can't. It's like it will really test it'll test not only your hand-eye, it tests your mental game.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think shooting really helped me in, like I said, everyday life. Like when I was a kid, sometimes, I don't really want to wake up. Now it's like, that's easy to do that. It's not breaking 100 straight, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So I think it's good for everyone, especially the youth. I recommend it to everybody, and I've had so many success stories out of it. I've seen with kids. It's awesome to just see. I love seeing it. I hope to see it for the rest of my life,
Right.
So it's good.
Well, I know that Jason's over there chomping at the bit. He's ready to go on to these rapid-fire questions. But I got a new question for you guys. You're going to be the first ones that I'm going to ask it to, and we're going to try to ask this for all future guests and stuff. And Jason agreed with me that he thought this was a great question. So I'll ask Mike for an answer first. Turner, I'll give you a chance to think about it. All right, here's the question. And this hopefully will help some of our listeners. What is one of the smallest or easiest things that you did or changed in your shooting game that yielded the biggest or best results?
Oh, easy question for me. Gun mounts.
Gun mounts. Okay.
Yep, gun mounts. Just to tell you quick on it, I do 100 gun mounts a day.
Okay.
I started doing it, when I was 15 years old, when I got real serious about it. And I have never missed a day. And just because it's a podcast and people don't want to cut and dry, my wife, Sarah, who everybody in shooting knows, because she's doing, my wife, Sarah, our very first date, she lived in obviously a different house than I. I ended up staying at her house, and I'm waking up in the morning, and for the, thank God this isn't live for all you listeners or viewers, I'm in my boxers mounting my gun, and her eyes are so, what are you doing? Why do you have a gun? She's freaked out. I'm doing my gun mount. Like, I'm downstairs, and I'm doing my gun mount. I didn't think she's awake. Totally freaked her out, and I said, well, if we're going to continue this, I said, shooting is a big part of my life, and I do this every day. And she goes, is that thing loaded? I go, no, ma'am. So, yeah, gun mounts. You can do that. You can work, and that's going to give you consistency. Think about it. If you got a consistent mount, so you're doing two things with a gun mount. You're placing the gun properly every time where you want it to go. And I'll catch myself. Oop, that was a little low. That's not going to be good. Back and forth. And then I just visualize targets in my brain. And basically from there, I'm building endurance, right? I don't get up and run 3 miles. So my gun mounts is going to give me that, my endurance in my upper body.
Thanks, Mike. Now my coach is going to call me and go, see, why aren't you doing your gun mounts every day?
Yep, you're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
Bill will be all over you.
Yeah, he sure will. All right, Turner, question for you. Same thing. What do you think is one of the smallest or easiest things that you've changed or done in your shooting game that yielded the biggest or best result?
I would say implementing a pre-shot routine before even before I step into the station. I see a lot of this as a problem in the youth shooting. I see sometimes where there's, especially some of the younger kids, they'll go out and go to a station and they'll look at the targets, not really pay too much of attention, and put 2 shells in the gun, throw the gun up, and just call pull. They don't really know. They already forgot where the target's coming from. They don't really know the line of the target. They don't even know. If I ask somebody, like I have some kids that I know, some younger kids, I could ask them, hey, what type of target is that? They don't know at all. It could be a crosser, or it could be a little trap target, a little teal target, or something like that. They have no clue what it is. All I do is just put 2 shells in the gun and call pull. So one thing that I did, me and Mike worked on this a lot, and I'm still working on it, but is implementing a pre-shot routine. And so when I step up into the box, I'm looking for the line, finding out where it's coming from, finding my eye hold point, stuff like that. Just the small things, finding detail on target. I really found that implementing a pre-shot routine into my shooting has really, really helped my performance over-wise, and really helped me stay consistent over a day where I might be shooting 250 shells in competition. I really feel like it has put me in a good place to be consistent, and because I could go, and once you get to a certain point, what you're looking for is one more shot every other station. Like the one shot might be the difference between winning a national championship and something like that. So what you're really wanting to do is hit 8 out of 8 on the station. So anything that you can give you a competitive edge, you're going to want to take. And I really felt, consistent pre-shot is one of the things I did, and it really helped me.
Well, that's all. That's great answers from both you guys, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, very good answers.
All right. Well, Jason, you want to go ahead and take it? I know you're itching to do this. He's over there just squirming.
All right, Turner, you ready? We're going to start with you. We're going to do some rapid-fire questions.
All righty, that'll work.
All right. Gun.
Beretta 694.
Chokes.
Rhino chokes.
Do you have a certain go-to constriction, or do you change chokes?
Most of the time, I shoot the Skeet 2, which is about a 7, but then I also shoot the Light Mob, which is about a 15.
Excellent. Shells.
I switch in and out a little bit. I shoot a lot of Winchesters, Super Handicap, and then I also shoot a lot of RX3s, 1280s, 1 ounce.
Oh, wow. Okay. Shot size.
All 7.5.
All 7.5. Vest or shell bag?
I shoot a Castellani vest.
Nice. Glasses?
Pila, Outlaw X7.
And ear protection?
Granny, PMS.
Ah, very nice. Good job, Turner. Sean, I'm going to let you drill Mike.
All right, Mike, you ready? I know you're probably quaking in your boots right now.
All good, man. All good. I'm just hanging out, loving it.
All right. First up, gun.
Krieghoff, sponsored by Krieghoff since 2008.
All right. Particular unit you're shooting?
K80 32-inch taper flat rib sporter.
Gotcha. All right. Chokes?
Extremes.
Okay. And what's your constriction you guys usually shoot with?
Whatever I need on the presentation. I won't hide this. I'm a choke changer.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's all right.
Yes, sir. Yep.
There's no wrong answers here.
Part of my game, honestly. It's part of my game. It helps me read the targets. Is that 10 yards? Is that 30 yards? It's just part of my game I implemented over the years.
No, that's great. All right, shells.
Just got picked up by Remington Shells, and I've shot Remingtons for the duration of my shooting career. I've been shooting them since I was 15 years old.
Nice.
Remington got bought by the Vista Group, and they just picked me up. Yep. So loyalty helped me there.
All right. What's your recipe? What's your load and shot size?
So this will crack the viewers up. So I'm a recoil baby. I shoot 1,200 feet a second, number 8s, ounce and an 1/8.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'll shoot them if it's 60 yards or 10 yards.
Gotcha. Okay. That's good info. Vest or shell bag?
Yeah. Depends. Usually a vest. Lately, Castellani vest.
Gotcha. All right. Glasses.
I use Pila and Rangers.
Okay. And
I have both.
okay, so you got both of them. And then ear protection.
ESPs. You know.
Gotcha. Okay, I think that's it, right?
Nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Good deal. Good deal.
Well, Turner, young man, you have a very bright future in this sport, that's for sure. And it's easy to see that Mike has done an excellent job, as well as your parents. You're definitely going to be an aspiration to those behind you. We appreciate you spending some time with us this evening, for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate what y'all are doing too. I really feel like all the podcasts and shooting is really helping make the whole sport grow. You know, getting more information out to different shooters is really, in my opinion, what's going to help drive the sport and keep it going for a long time. So thank you for what you're doing.
No, you're welcome.
Oh, yeah.
It's our pleasure. Really,
Yep,
it is.
It's a labor of love. Mike, once again, you've turned out another fine one.
Yes, sir. No problem. Like I said, kind of what Turner said, y'all are doing excellent. I mean, I appreciate you guys. I think that's a way for somebody, you know, like I said, I want to help everybody out. Somebody could kind of turn the podcast on and, you know, we might be able to give them one or two things that maybe they didn't know and can
Right.
kind of help their game. And like I said, promote the sport. We want to promote the sport. So, you know, you guys need anything or we can help you guys out, just give us a shout. We're there to, you know, promote the game.
For sure. We announced it last episode and again this episode, Mike, and we really, really, really appreciate you doing the questions for the coaches with us.
Yep.
I think that goes back to what you just said. You know, if we can help somebody in some way, no matter how small, you know, if somebody's got a question, I was always taught there is no such thing as a dumb question, right? So if somebody's got a question and we can get it answered from one of the best, being either you or Gavin or Bill, that are as a part of that panel, we're going to get that information out to them. So we greatly appreciate you being part of that.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, sir. We
What?
appreciate you guys.
Hey, guys, we're going to run, but thank you. This has been awesome. We really appreciate having you on the Dead Pair, and we're going to be talking to both of you soon.
Yeah, and we wish you guys nothing but the best.
All right. We appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right, guys, take
You guys
care.
have a good night.
You too.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Always good to catch up with Mike, you know what?
Yeah, a lot of information he's got to share, and it was great talking to Turner as well.
Yeah, he is definitely an awesome young man. You know, I met him and his mom down there at Florida State. What really super nice people.
Yeah, I expect big things out of him in the future.
For sure. And it's really cool that Mike's helping us out with questions for the coaches. I mean, that's going to be some good information out to people, and I think everybody should take advantage of that for sure.
Yeah, well, once again, I mean, it just shows you the heart and compassion in the group of shooters in sporting clays. I mean, everybody's willing to help everybody else out, and they just want to grow the sport, make the sport better.
Yep. Hey, speaking of which, those of you that are listening and speaking and helping each other out, if you could like and follow us on Facebook, please share our podcasts when we launch them. And, of course, we also have an Instagram page as well.
Right, yeah. And we just discovered we had a small technical glitch for those of our listeners who listen to our podcast through Stitcher. Just became aware of that about a week ago, and we've got everything worked out with Stitcher. Now everything is active on our website to where you can go there and click on the link for Stitcher, and now it's working. We didn't realize that wasn't working, but we've got it addressed now.
Yep. And please patronize those that are willing to help you out. You know, we have Wild Hair, Atlas Traps, Pro Ears, Morgan Optical. They're all on board. Of course, there's the big contest with Cardinal Center.
Yep.
So, you know, patronize these people. They're extending a hand out to you, the shooters that they're trying to help out. So,
right.
you know,
and you might as well take advantage. If you're going to use one of these products anyways, why not save some money?
yeah, right, exactly.
I mean, come on, how hard is it?
For sure. So, and don't forget, send us an email. Let us know your questions. We'll get it out to the coaches. And, you know, who knows? You know, it might be answered by Gavin Miles or Mike Luongo or Bill Elliott.
That's right. And all those guys are going to have great information with whatever you're going to ask them.
Yep, for sure. Well, you all stay tuned because we have some really interesting guests coming in next time. So be sure to stay tuned on the Dead Pair Podcast.